Call the meeting to order. If everyone would please stand. Good. We'll do the invocation.
Let us pray. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for your blessings. Just be with us tonight, Lord. Help us to make decisions, Lord, that are best for our citizens. And Lord, we ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Would you join me in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know, one of the signs of old age is you forget things. I forgot my glasses tonight. I know there's people sitting out there, and that's just about all I can tell you. So we're going to rely on our town manager to do the most of the reading tonight. And if she doesn't do it right, I got a gavel.
Yes, sir. Keep on.
You just go right ahead.
Let's see. Good evening, everyone. Appreciate you being here this evening. I believe the next item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a recognition by Chief Wilkes.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Board of Winterville. It's my great pleasure tonight to recognize Impact. Recently we had the Community Day, our first annual Community Day for Winterville, and without these people coming together, we would not have been able to pull off what I consider a pretty big success. We served about 1,700 meals, so we probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,700, 1,800 people who showed up. I actually prepared a letter for some of the companies, or some of the vendors that came out, and I'll go ahead and mention before we get with the Impact, Mr. Pilgrim was nice enough to support the event. I'm trying to think of anybody else. I don't see anybody else in the room right now that showed up as a vendor. A special thanks I'd like to thank for Evan. Without his help, we wouldn't have been able to pull it off either. He either picked up trash every day. He was a trooper the entire day, did a lot of work. The officers that showed up, we were on our feet all day. And if I get the Impact members to stand up, please. And if I get anybody's name, obviously Miss Valerie Tyson, okay. We got Lamont Ward, April Ward, Brother William Harvey, and Terrence. I'm sorry, Terrence. But these people really put a lot of effort in this event for several months. They got a lot of things to give away. It was multicultural. I can't say enough positive about it. I can just say that if it hadn't been for these people, it wouldn't have happened, okay? And, of course, Ms. Robertson was out there, and so was Mr. Cooper. And here's the letter that I prepared to give you an idea of some of the people that were out there at the event, the different vendors. I think we had 28 in all that showed up. Everything else is wet. My hands are dry. I'm soaked everywhere else, but my hands are dry. Isn't something?
At least something is.
Yeah, that's always something.
I was there too. That's right.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
I just got reminded that the mayor and Mr. Moy also showed up at the event. Mr. I believe, Mr. Smith, I think, showed up too. But it was a really good event, and like I said, hands off to these people because they did a wonderful job, and we're looking forward to trying to do it again next year. So. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
No, I'd just like to make a comment that to listen to some of the remarks or the comments that I received from the community, especially the ones that attend that event, it was all positive. They really enjoyed themselves. Just want to say thank you for a job well done. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I also echo what Mr. Moy said, I was in on a lot of the planning, and I know how much work went into it, and I know how the group kept, at first it was one or two, partners, and then more and more. And I do applaud you, too,
Yes.
Chief, for you and Officer Boyd and Officer Raby, did I say it right? For being there, taking your time to be there to help with this event. I think it was a successful event in the, since it was a partnership with the community and our police department. And you were there that day, and the officers were around, and that shows a lot of dedication on your part to have a community policing program, as well as the citizens who gave so much of their time and talents to this event. It was good, but it was good because we put the time in to plan it. I had to flag out when school started, but it was good.
Also, I think Ms. Tyson made a statement during that period of her announcement at the gathering that a young man in the community was the one that came up with the idea or told her to go forth. Could you give us a little bit on that, Ms. Tyson?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Valerie Tyson, and I did it all triggered with the Trayvon Martin situation, and I went to my uncle's house, Leonis Grimes Sr., and I talked to him concerning things going on in the community, how we could bring peace about this situation. And I asked him, do you think it's possible I go up to the police department and speak with the chief and tell him exactly how I feel about the community and what we could do to take away from that negative vibe that's coming down from Florida. And my uncle, he initiated it and he said, go for it. And that's when I approached.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
I would also like to thank the other staff members who not only helped man the town booth that we had, but also helped in preparing quite a bit of the information that we had available at the booth. So we now, I think, have a good stock of information to be able to continue to hand out to the public, and that couldn't have happened without the help of many and on the town staff, so thanks for that. Okay, next I believe we have the introduction of some new employees. Chief, I should have told you not to go anywhere because you're first on the list.
Mr. Mayor, Board, I'd like to introduce Mr. Matt Laney. He's been an intern with us now for a couple of months and doing a very good job. He lives in Greenville. He's getting his bachelor's degree at ECU. He wants to be a police officer, imagine that. His parents live in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he has a brother in the Marine Corps, if I understand correctly. Is that right? Okay. Is there anything else to say?
I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity for me to come here and learn as much as I can. And I've enjoyed my time so far.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Next, we'd like to introduce Mr. Alton Ray Lee and Edward Howard. These gentlemen will be starting in our Water Department and Public Works, and I'm going to ask that Willie Gay come forward and introduce these two gentlemen. Gentlemen, if you'll come forward.
Yes, Mr. Lee and Mr. Howard will be joining us. Mr. Lee will start actually this week on Wednesday, and Mr. Howard will be starting with us Monday. Both these gentlemen come to us with vast experience in water, so we're hoping that's going to help us move forward with revamping our staff and getting back to being able to do some more projects in town. Anything, gentlemen?
I would like to say thanks and looking forward to being a part of the team.
Same here. Thanks for the opportunity to work with.
Thank you. We look forward to it.
If you need water, I think there's plenty of it outside right now.
We did not design that tonight, by the way. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to ask Kim Moore to come forward. Come down here so I can see you all from a different perspective. Kim Moore started with us. She's our administrative assistant at the Operations Center, started today. And the fact that she came tonight is a good sign that hopefully she'll be back tomorrow. So Kim comes with quite a bit of experience working with the Housing Authority in a variety of ways. So we're looking forward to having her help us pick things up and kind of straighten things out. So, Kim, I'll give you an opportunity to say anything you'd like.
I too am grateful for this opportunity and look forward to being an asset to the team of the town of Winterville.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Again, we'd like to welcome those that are here tonight and let everyone know that we're working on trying to fill the other positions we have open. So thank you. Next on our agenda, we have Mr. Timmy Baines, who is the Executive Director with the Mideast Commission, and he had to drive in fabulous weather, too, to get here tonight, so thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight, and I want to take a few minutes and just kind of go through a short presentation to remind you a little bit about what the Mideast Commission does and things that we're currently working on. And it's also a pleasure, as most of you know or have heard, as the new Executive Director of the Mideast Commission. I've been on the job now for about 3 months, so I'm looking forward to continuing to work with everybody and learn more about the region here in this area. And again, this information gives a brief discussion about the Mideast Commission and the things that we do. The Mideast Commission is one of 16 regional councils in the state of North Carolina. The Mideast Commission was established and authorized pursuant to acts of the North Carolina General Statutes ratified in 1973 and as set forth in Chapter 153A, Section 391 to 398 for regional planning commissions. And you can see how the different regions are structured. We cover the 5-county area there that's labeled Region Q, and that's our other kind of common name is that we're known as Region Q. And we cover these 5 counties of Beaufort, Bertie, Hertford, Martin, and Pitt. I have to do those in alphabetical order so I don't forget somebody. We cover the 5 counties again, and then all of the municipalities that are within those 5 counties are members of our commission. And we work in all of these different areas and various aspects of our programs, and I'll talk about our programs in just a minute. Each local government listed on this page is entitled to have one representative appointed to serve on the Board of Directors of the Mideast Commission. The Board of Directors helps to oversee our operations just as you help to oversee the town's operations. The Mideast Commission is and always wants to be a resource to our member units of government. Some of our programs that we work on, one of our major programs is our Area Agency on Aging, where we actually act as a conduit for funding to come down to individuals who are 60 years old or older for various programs through the Home and Community Care Block Grant. And that is specifically designed to help try to keep individuals in their home as long as they can so that they're not becoming a burden on the state or the county as they become invalid in nursing homes. We have the long-term care ombudsman that goes into the individual nursing homes and adult care facilities. We have a family caregiver support program. The Project Care is a specific program that works with individuals who have dementia and helps to provide respite or other services to those family members that have to take care of those individuals with dementia. Senior Medicare Patrol is where we actually help, getting ready to be very busy coming up. I think it's October 15th when the open enrollment period for Medicare Part B and D comes up. So we work with individuals. We have individuals that are trained to work in that program. And I can tell you for the town of Winterville for last year, through the aging program alone, there were $75,560 worth of federal and state funds that came in to your citizens that provided over 8,000 units of service, whether that be home-delivered meals, meals in a senior center, transportation to and from, say, a medical appointment, and so there are various services that are provided through the aging program. The other thing that we do under administration, we do have financial and administrative assistance that we could provide if needed to our member governments. We also have HR experience that we could assist with HR problems or issues that come up. But these are some of the programs that we have. Again, the Community and Economic Development. We just recently completed our 5-year rewrite of our Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or our regional CEDS, and that is on our website now for your information and has been submitted to the federal government. We also do grant research and application assistance for our member governments, and then we also administer grants, if need be, for our local governments. But these programs, and I've got another slide with other programs, are designed in response to our mission to promote and facilitate intergovernmental cooperation, assist and promote the economic stability and development of the region, and facilitate effective communication from all levels of government, including federal, state, and local, about issues that are critical to our region. Here are a few other programs that we have. We have the Mideast Development Corporation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that right now it currently owns and operates 3 multi-unit housing properties that are designed for senior living facilities in Ahoskie and Farmville. And we also have and operate the Senior Center down in Belhaven in Beaufort County. The Mideast RPO under the Planning Department covers Beaufort, Martin, and Pitt counties. And then we also operate the Peanut Belt RPO, which covers Bertie, Halifax, Hertford, and Northampton counties. Under Workforce Development, which is another one of our programs that we have specific information about for last fiscal year, we actually help individuals, whether they're at the adult or the dislocated worker, where people have been laid off from jobs or long-term unemployed. We work with youth ages 16 to 21. We have the Job Link centers in each of the counties at this point that works with individuals and businesses. And then, as you can see, we also have business services that we provide to companies that have training needs for their incumbent workers. We have a small business loan program where we can help individuals that can't get regular or conventional financing. We also go into businesses and do job profiling to help them with their job recruitments for later things. One of the things that we also do is the rapid response, where if we get notice of a major layoff in a business, we go in with the state and help to provide information to that company, those executives and those employees, about the types of services and things that are available to them as a result of their layoff. Here are the source of our funds. As you can see, the majority of our funding is federal. In fact, most of that actually passes from the federal through the state to us. And then we have 22% of state money and then 10% local, which is the dues that we get from our member governments, as well as technical assistance contracts that we have with several of our member governments to provide specialized services for them. And again, our 3 main areas are aging, workforce development, and economic development and technical assistance, which aging and workforce are always our mainstay programs. I did forget to mention in the workforce development that we did have record of 32 individuals from the town of Winterville last year that were registered and received training or other assistance through our workforce development program from the town of Winterville. And the average cost per participant on that is about $4,300. So that kind of gives you an idea of some of the services that we provide to our member governments and citizens within the member governments. Lastly, I'll tell you again, just the Mideast Commission, we want to be considered an extension of our member governments. And to meet that need, we ask that you have an active representative on our board so that they can relay critical information to us, as well as back to you about the services that we're providing, the things that we're doing. And again, we want to be considered a resource to you, so do not hesitate to call on us if we can be of any assistance. I'll be glad to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Anyone have any questions?
Yes. Project Care.
Yes.
Is that the program that provides respite care?
That does provide, we have 2 programs that provide respite. Project Care provides respite for individuals specifically with a diagnosis of dementia. Mm-hmm. And then under our Family Caregiver Support Program, we also have a respite program there where we help caregivers get a little bit of break from taking care of their loved ones.
How do people access it? Do they have to be referred, or do they?
We have individuals that work in the senior centers. We have 2 individuals that work in Project Care specifically on our staff is Tamika Rigsby and Rosalind Pugh, and you can reach them through our main number at the Mideast Commission 946-8043 and get in touch with them, or you can work with any of the folks in the county senior centers. Okay. We do have kind of a referral process through DSS as well, so we get some referrals quite often from DSS.
Your program is not out of money, is it? I know Martin's.
Project Care is winding down. We're trying to get some additional federal funding for that. The state didn't fund their part of that this year, so it is starting to get low, but we've got money to go through June 30th at this point.
Thank you. Very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baines. It's nice to meet you. Look forward to working with you.
Thanks.
Next, I believe we have our public hearing on the proposed amendment of zoning ordinance section 6.5 special requirement number 19. Alan Lilly, I'll turn it over to you.
I apologize if I have a weak and scratchy voice fighting a cold. At this time, we do have a public hearing to consider an amendment to our zoning ordinance. The proposed amendment would apply to Article 6, Section 6.5, Special Requirement Number 19. And this amendment has been formally recommended for adoption by the Planning and Zoning Board. The table of permitted and conditional uses in our zoning ordinance includes a column labeled Special Requirements. And if the land use listed in the table has an entry in the special requirement column, then that use has some special requirements in addition to the other standards in the zoning ordinance that it must comply with. So special requirement number 19 applies to automobile storage, automobile towing and storage, automobile wrecking or junkyards, salvage yards, and scrap processing. And basically this requirement says that outdoor storage associated with these uses shall be completely screened by a screening device at least 8 feet in height and 90% opaque. Automobile wrecking or junkyard, salvage, and scrap processing uses shall require a minimum area of 3 acres. Any area covered by 600 square feet or more of scrap material or 7 or more junk vehicles shall qualify as a use of this category. And finally, uses subject to this note shall be separated in such a manner as to prevent dust and tracking of mud and debris onto adjoining parcels. So this subjects all the uses that I listed to these 3 special requirements. You'll notice that automobile storage is subject to the same special requirements as the other listed uses, yet if you look at item B, the ordinance seems to recognize that simple storage of automobiles is not as intensive or large scale a use as automobile wrecking or junkyard, salvage yards, or scrap processing, because automobile storage is not included in requirement B, but all the other uses are, that the site have a minimum of 3 acres. So in item B, not being applicable to simple automobile storage, the ordinance itself seems to recognize that just simply storing motor vehicles on the property is not as intensive a use as salvage yards, junk processing, or salvage yards and scrap processing. So recognizing the differences in these uses, the amendment proposed by the Planning Board would provide differing screening requirements for simply storing automobiles. Under the proposed amendment, automobile storage would be required to provide a screening device at least 6 feet in height rather than 8 feet in height. The other uses, wrecking or junkyard, salvage yard, and scrap processing, would continue to require an 8-foot high screening device under the proposed amendment. Part of the rationale for that is that simple storage of motor vehicles generally would not involve the stacking of the vehicles or scrap materials, and therefore would involve just vehicles stored at ground level, whereas junkyards, salvage yards, and scrap processing can involve or might likely involve the stacking of materials to a higher level. Under the proposed amendment, the screening requirement for junkyards, salvage yards, and scrap processing would remain at 8 feet, and the requirement for a minimum of a 3-acre site would also remain in place. The Planning and Zoning Board formally recommended adoption of this amendment at their June 18th meeting. A copy of the report from that meeting is included in your agenda packets. With that, I'll ask if the council members have any questions for staff before the public hearing is opened.
Anyone have any questions?
What are the businesses that will be affected by this?
Well, the business that brought this whole matter into question is the Pilgrim Wholesale located at the intersection of Reedy Branch Road and Highway 11. But it would affect any business that from henceforth would plan to have automobile storage as on, part of their business.
Would CDs be affected? Oh, Jarvis Harris property.
Depot Street.
Yeah, I don't believe so, but this is a interpretation issue with the ordinance I've wrestled with. CD's is a automobile dealership, and so would we require screening for properties that deal in selling motor vehicles for their inventory?
Isn't it a garage, though?
I understood it to be a used car dealership.
They have two mechanics that work there.
Which has been, well, it's not necessarily been CDs, but there has been, without a continuous inactive period of 180 days, there's been automobile operations there at least since I came to work in 1986. So it's grandfathered under the worst case scenario.
How about G&N storage?
I think possibly it could. There again, established at a point in time that the requirement's different.
Was there a 180-day period between Greenville Automotive and the present business there at Pilgrims?
No.
What about the truck repair place that backs up to Chapman Street?
There again, I would say my interpretation of this requirement ordinance is not that it was intended to apply to repair places at all, in my opinion. That it was intended to apply to places that store motor vehicles or tow and store and impound motor vehicles. But in examining this issue and meeting with the attorney, the interpretation was made that it could or should apply to some situations where the motor vehicles are going to be on the premises for an extended period of time, not ones that are the property of the business for sale, but ones that are there for repair or whatever for extended periods of time. And that's where this discussion started when we talked about the Pilgrims facility, is there were vehicles stored behind the facility that were being rehabilitated or having really extensive work done to them, so they're going to be there for a longer period of time than what you would think of as a normal turnover for just having simple repairs. And that's how we kind of got to this point.
So, am I hearing, Alan, this correctly, that we don't know exactly how many businesses this code change could affect?
There again, it goes back to interpretation of the requirement. And as I've said, my opinion is it would not affect the places who are in the business of selling automobiles.
How many businesses in Winterville will it affect? My concern with, and again, I've known the Pilgrims all my life and respect them, and I've known the Gaylords all my life and respect them. My concern here is across the board, not one business. I need to know how many businesses in the town of Winterville will this affect? Before I can make a good decision here. Do we know?
Well, there again, if this requirement is applicable to the situations I described, then all of these places you're talking about right now should have an 8-foot screen in place. All of them.
The truck places not
We've
have.
got a number that are, excuse me, Councilman, well, we've got a number that would be grandfathered. American Auto's been here forever.
Right.
Are they grandfathered?
Yes, I would believe so, and just like the one on Depot Street that has been there for a very, very long time.
Okay, well, have we been around town, have we looked at our list of businesses, and can you tell me 100% that this is only going to affect one business?
No. It could potentially affect 2 mini storage facilities and one towing business that I think has closed recently or is in the process of closing. But
What about the auto repair there on the corner of Mill and Main? They have cars behind there all the time, and those cars sit there for long periods of time.
There we get back to that same issue that, like I said, in my opinion, screening, our ordinance did not intend to be required for repair places. That it's storage, just like a dealership, does the entire inventory at the Honda place stored vehicles that should be screened? Mm-hmm. My interpretation would be no, it's not.
Let me rewind a little bit so that I'm clear. When the Pilgrims opened this business, how long has that been?
October 1st of last year.
Okay, so it's been a year, a little over a year. October the 1st of last year, were they required to have an 8-foot fence? Or did their business evolve into something else and then it was required? Because I'm confused.
Well, I never believed one was required, never interpreted our ordinance to require it until all of this got examined and I was asked to seek the opinion of council. Up until then, it was my belief that our ordinance did not require screening for what was going on at Pilgrims.
So when they opened the business, they were under the impression that they didn't need an 8-foot fence.
That's exactly right.
I think the planning department needs to be absolutely sure as to what we're telling businesses that they can and they can't do when they open a business. Well, I think some of the blame here falls back on the planning department. That's my personal opinion.
As I said, my belief and interpretation was no screening device was required when they opened. And were it not for a different legal opinion rendered to me, I would still be of that opinion.
The 8-foot requirement, if I remember right, was passed this year, I believe, wasn't it?
No, it's been in the ordinance probably since 2000.
Oh, okay. Oh, but that covered junkyards, right?
Yes.
Primarily.
I mean, it hinges on what is meant by the word automobile storage. I've always took it to mean a place who, as a course of their business, is in the business of storing motor vehicles, not repairing them.
Yeah, and now might be a good time just to interject a couple thoughts. Alan and I, of course, did have that meeting some time ago, and anytime you look at a law, anytime you look at an ordinance, there's certain places where you can interpret the words a little different. And after our discussion, it was my advice that from the storage that I was hearing was on site there, the vehicles that were being kept there, that it probably did cross the line and that they were being stored. Alan, before that, had taken a little different opinion, and after our discussion, I mean, I gave him what I thought was my recommendation. I would agree with him, though, that if it's a repair business, if somebody's bringing their car in, it's being repaired, even if it's kept there for a few days, I don't think that crosses the line being stored. So I don't think repair businesses are going to be susceptible to what we're doing here. But as I understood the facts from our discussion, vehicles were being kept there long enough that it did, in my opinion, amount to storage. And that's where this came from.
Dodge Oil Company's had a truck there for years. Sits there day after day, year after year, old truck. It's not used at all. It's been junk years ago. It's been sitting there.
Well, the problem for the council is it appears that we're changing a code for one business. And that's really what we're doing here. And I take issue to that. I don't deny that they should probably have a 6-foot fence and it'd be fine. It would probably be fine for their business. But there's a bigger picture here. And the picture is, we don't know how many businesses this is going to affect. We need to know that. Again, I don't have a problem with a 6-foot fence for the Pilgrims. I do have a problem changing a code of ordinance for one business, because that's exactly what it looks like. And really, it's kind of what we're doing.
When I made
Before I make a decision, I'd like to know exactly how many numbers of businesses this is going to have an effect on.
Do we need to, I don't know if you can table a public hearing or not.
You can, ultimately, I'm jumping the gun here, you can continue it, but there may be some other things you need to do before you get there.
The largest business I know of that has junk vehicles is the truck place. The largest junk vehicles in our town. I didn't see no screening there at all. That's a bigger problem as far as unsightliness that we have.
I don't disagree that there's some problems. Go look behind American Auto.
Yeah.
It's just a mess back there. They're grandfathered in. They've been here longer than I've been alive. Seems like, anyway.
Not quite.
Not quite.
And I don't mean to argue for one way or the other. My point is kind of like what you're saying. Everyone in the same situation should be treated exactly the same way. And up until this point, none of the park places in Winterville, in my belief and interpretation, were required to put up screenings because they were not businesses that specifically were there for the purpose of storing motor vehicles. And the reason that it's, I'm taking a different view at this point in time is because our legal expert had a differing opinion, and he is much more an expert on the law than I claim to be.
Well, it's a tough time for businesses. I realize it may be a tough time to have to put up 2 more feet extensions on the fence. But at the same time, I don't want 5 businesses to be back in here next month saying, hey, you guys passed the code and it affects me. What am I going to do?
Yeah. Councilman Moore mentioned G&N storage. Now, they got one section of their place that is definitely storage of vehicles.
Including boats, motors, trailers, campers.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
I have one question. When you started your business at the Pure Green, what was it supposed to be in the beginning? Because what I'm hearing is, from the residents around, is, the condition of it and the way it's being kept and the scenery of it. It's taken away from their property. And to me, it kind of sort of like changed things if you had started your business out one way and now it has extended to something else.
Mr. Pilgrim, may I ask you to come to the microphone, please? Thank you.
My concern, Councilman Bowie, is before he speaks, we had a business that was there before he was there, that had 50 vehicles in the back that did not run. And at that point in time, we didn't have any ordinance for that company that had 50 there. 50 in the back, because I knew the person who owned the business. And I did business at that location, a lot of business. And there were 50, and there was no screen there. There's never issue.
And this ordinance was in place at that time. Tell me the question again.
Well, I just wanted to know what type of business that you was planning on, that you start out with, and has it changed from the time that
Yes,
you
sir.
started up until now?
It has not changed. When we moved there, we were automotive customizing shop, and that's what we still are. We sell wheels and tires, and that's how we advertise our name. But we also do custom work, which means suspension or, you know, different things you can do to customize a car. Sometimes that means the car staying there for long periods of time.
Let me echo what Councilman Moore said, and he's exactly right. The business looks 10 times better than the last business that was there. And anybody that says different, you don't know what you're looking at, because when there was about 50 to 80 cars sitting out there, it looked like a big junk pile. And I've been by the business. It definitely looks better than it did. To me, that's not part of the equation here. And what I want to know is how many businesses does this affect? Because I don't want to change a code that's been in place for quite a while for one business, and that's no disrespect to you.
Absolutely.
You know, we have everybody to look after here.
Right. Well,
And I wish your business the best. I hope you continue to prosper. Again, personally, I think it looks 100% better than what it used to look like.
well, I really hope I can continue and prosper in Winterville. A question that's subject to the ordinance here, 2 questions. First of all, if I remove the 4 vehicles that's within that fence, doesn't that totally drop this ordinance out of for this pertaining to me? And second of all, if I didn't have a fence at all, what would there to be said? Because the way that we're looking at this is, instead of going out and spending $7,000 on a fence, I could easily, Matt and I and my father all own houses in Pitt County. I could easily spread my 3 or 4 cars through those houses and take the fence down. But then you're going to see a stack of tires behind my shop because I'm a wheel and tire shop. Right now you don't see any of that because it's all screened off from the public. So my opinion is that the amendment is that it has holes all in it. There's all kinds of ways that it's just like Mr. Lilly said, it's all in the interpretation of how you read it. Automobile storage is so broad up there, it's all in how you interpret it as an individual.
I will echo Councilman Smith. Some of you in here know that I was born and raised with less than half a mile from where that business is located. The house that's directly across the road from that, I can remember when it was what we called a tenant house. And it used to stay junky and everything else, and of course it doesn't look that way now. I went out this afternoon and I looked at the property as you did. I even talked to a couple of people that live on Reeder Branch Road. I talked to one gentleman. He said, I'm by there 3 or 4 times a day. It looks the best now that I've ever seen it. He said when it was a fertilizer sales lot, if you want to call it that, and then, as Councilman Moore said, the used car dealer, he says it looks 10 times better today than it did back then. So, like I say, I'll just interject that, and we'll go to our council down here if we need to table this until a later date.
Well, if it's I don't think actually, have you opened the public hearing? We've received the comment. We haven't opened it. What I might suggest, you've got a couple options. One is just not open the public hearing, and we would, I guess, have to, if you're going to not inclined to hold it tonight, re-advertise it. Or you could open the public hearing and then just announce to the public that you're going to continue it or postpone the hearing to maybe next month and let everybody know when the public hearing is going to be held, if it sounds like y'all want some additional information.
I know Councilman Smith wants more information. Does the other members feel the same way?
Well, I think we probably have some ones here that want to speak tonight. I think we ought to give them the opportunity.
But if we're not going to make a decision, what's the use of speaking?
Well, we can continue with it.
Attorney Lassiter, they could also hold the public hearing and receive comment and table a decision.
Yes. They could open it, hold the public, receive comment and then look for more information later.
That's another
We
option.
don't have to have another public hearing.
No.
We'll advertise it.
That's exactly right. If you feel like you have it.
We need to continue with the public hearing, and then afterwards we can decide. I mean, I'm the only one that really voiced it. The rest of the council doesn't want to vote on it. That's just my opinion.
Right.
I'd like to know what other businesses this will affect.
You're not required to vote on anything tonight just because you have a public hearing.
And a public hearing will only need to be held if the actual amendment in and of itself changes.
Right.
With that being said, we'll open the public hearing then.
Well, I guess I'll talk first.
Well, anyone that would,
Sorry.
that would like to speak in favor of this, just if you don't mind, state your name and so forth, and
I'm Michael Pilgrim, 841 Darrell Drive in Greenville, North Carolina. Is actually where my residence is. With everything being said, all I really want to take in consideration is that we're a couple of hardworking guys from this area, and we take pride in the fact that we have a business within Winterville where we grew up and played baseball and went to school and know a lot of people at. Of course, that's an advantage from a business because I know a lot of people in the area, and it creates a customer base. But we strive every day to keep our place clean, and what you see at our location is a direct reflection of our business, and that is why it is kept clean. I was brought up on those standards, thanks, Dad. And I was at my place of business yesterday at about 11 o'clock in the morning, finishing up cutting my grass because we were so busy Friday and Saturday that I couldn't do it. It was that important to me. It has absolutely nothing to do with this meeting. It's just the fact that I really enjoy when people come to my shop and tell me how great it looks, and because that's our image. And so we're doing everything we can as a business, and sometimes it's a little frustrating when you're trying to run a business as young businessmen and you have so many obstacles in your way, but I guess that happens to everybody. So we're trying our best to deal with the obstacles the best way we know how, and that's why we keep showing up to the meetings and voicing our opinion. But thank you guys for the time.
thank you, Mr. Pilgrim. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition?
Good evening, Town Council. I'm T.C. Gaylord. I live at 5310 Reedy Branch Road, directly across from the Pilgrims business. Spoke to y'all many times on this issue. Tonight, I got a little story to tell you, just a short one, and I'd like y'all to listen carefully. On May 14th of this year, excuse me just a minute. Also, I'm the owner of Reedy Branch Barns and Home Repair Incorporated. Anyway, on May 14th of this year, I received a letter from the Planning and Zoning Department to move my display building because I wasn't in compliance with the code of ordinances. After talking with Mike and Alan, I was informed I couldn't operate from my home because I was selling a product from my home business, voted and it's zoned agricultural residential. So I was out of compliance, I will admit that. Due to this enforcement, in the last 4 months, and I'm basing this on a 3-year average of 1.5 buildings per month, this enforcement of the code of ordinances has cost me approximately $10,000. I have sold 1 building. If I hadn't sold any, it would have been 12, but I have sold 1. And in addition to the money it's cost me, it has also cost me 1 full-time employee. I'm telling you this story of mine in hope that you will base your decision on what's best for the town and not on the financial implications of a business in order for that business to be in compliance. If you enforce the code of ordinances on one individual or one business, I feel it's y'all's duty to enforce it on everyone equally and evenly. And don't change the code of ordinances just to appease one business. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I've got a question. Bill Green, you mentioned earlier, I think there were four cars or four things in the back.
Yes, sir.
And if you move those, are they back, are you using those? Are they just back there? What?
Councilman Smith, may I ask Mr. Pilgrim, thank you, so we can make sure we get your voice.
Oh.
Thank you.
Two of the vehicles are personal vehicles that are stored. Actually, I say personal, but they actually belong to Matt, which is the owner of the business, which is, so kind of as an advantage of owning your own business to have a spot to put these cars where they're not in our backyards at our house. And the other two cars are one of them was a car that we sold personally, and we're waiting on the guy to finish paying us for it, so we put it in the back of the lot instead of parking it up front. And the other car actually belongs to a cousin of ours that we told him we'd hold it there until the tow truck came.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And I guess we continue this, Counselor, until...
Well, you've now held your public hearing. You're not required to take any action, and it sounds like to me the board may want some additional information before it's ready to take a vote.
I think that's where we stand. Any council member have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Motion?
I would prefer one, if the board so chooses.
I'll make a motion that we table this until staff can bring us back an approximate number of businesses that will be affected by the change of this.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to continue this. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Did I hear one?
Yes.
Okay, I believe it's 41 then.
Well, when you bring those businesses back, would you bring them back, not just a number, but by name?
Okay. Mayor, we have public comment next.
Yeah. Now, you've got to read all the...
I think, based on the fact the mayor forgot his glasses, I'm going to need to remove mine and read the public comment policy for everyone. The public comment period of 30 minutes provides an opportunity for residents to comment on any item included in the agenda or to address the town council on any other matter related to the town of Winterville. For an item included in the public hearing section of the agenda, residents should address the council at the time the mayor invites public comment on the item. No public comment may be made to the council during the meeting except during the public comment period or as part of a public hearing. Individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and no more than 3 speakers may address the council on a single matter. The town council may elect to take no action on the matter addressed by the speaker, may schedule the matter for further consideration at a future council meeting, or may refer the matter to town staff for disposition. Copies of the town public comment policy are available in the rear of the assembly room. And first on our public comment list is Ms. Valerie Tyson.
I might not ever bring my glasses back to the meeting.
Please do.
Again, I say good evening. I stand before this board to first and foremost say thank you for the support for the Community Unity Day on September the 22nd, 2012, and also to ask that in the future we could designate that particular day, the third weekend of September on a Saturday, for the community event. Also, I would also like to say that we are continuing with this committee and we are forming different things for this committee, and we are asking that if any future events such as fire prevention and Power Week, all these things, that somehow we can be included to help enhance things that are here given in the town of Winterville.
Anyone have any questions, Ms. Tyson? Again, I think it was a great event.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we can reserve that date, that time.
I don't believe we need to do that right now because I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
But we don't know what 12 months from now will bring.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's my opinion. Any board member have a different opinion? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next on our public comment list is Miss Victoria Hawkins.
Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and the mayor, and all of the council. This is my first time being here, and I'm quite impressed with our town. I have lived here since 1999. Then I moved to Greenville for 8 years, and now I'm a homeowner here in Winterville since the year of 2007. I came through a program called the Family Self-Sufficiency Program at the Housing Authority. I'm a single mom, divorced, and I'm very proud to be a homeowner. But unfortunately, I'm very unsafe and I feel unwanted here in the town of Winterville because there is a Rottweiler dog that greets me when I get home every night. I'm very afraid of him. He jumps on the fence, and the fence doesn't look secure. I live on the corner of Brock Avenue and Vernon White Drive. I'm very nervous, upset. I can't come out of my house to pull my cart to the curb like we need to do every Tuesday and Wednesday so that the garbage can be picked up. He gets annoyed with me. I have spoken to my neighbor. She was not very responsive or a person that you would want to approach, not approachable. She said that it's just a dog barking. And I had a dog. My dog was hit by a car because she also has a cat that runs to and fro in the yard. So the dog chased the cat, ran into the yard, spinal injury. The dog had to be put to sleep. She also had a Rottweiler that chased me when I got out of my car a couple of times and was running around in my yard. These things have been going on for years. I hate to be a sour person in the town because this is a nice town. Excuse me. My mother lives here. My father lived and worked here at the post office and at the school. I am a Girl Scout leader. I work every day 2 jobs. I'm tired when I come home, and my nephews and them, they get dropped off at my house so I could take them to school in the morning. He plays on the football team. A dog could attack him in the morning. This dog is vicious looking. You can come by and see it for yourself. If you ride by the house, you may not see him because when you go to their house, which is next door to me at 2307 Brock Avenue, he doesn't come out and bother anybody who goes over there. I've been watching it for years. He's been there 2 years. There was another Rottweiler there when I moved there. He got used to me. But this new Rottweiler, he is not at all getting used to me. Even if I talk in front of my house, he barks. Even if I'm in my kitchen sometimes washing the dishes, he can hear because we're that close. He'll bark. It's really a nuisance. I did speak to the town of Winterville Police Department about it. They have been coming out, but unfortunately, if you drive over that way or don't just drive up in my parking in my area, the dog will not think you're going to, he'll think you're going to their house. He doesn't bark. I don't know what it is, but when I come over or anybody comes in my driveway, he does bark. So when they come out, he's doing a little, and they're telling me that that's not enough for a nuisance. I've been living here, I've been putting up with it for a long time. I'm tired of it. I'm very ready to move away. So I'm just bringing this to the council so you guys could please help me in this matter. We are going to court, but I just wanted to bring this out for any neighbors that are having problems and the police are coming and saying, we don't hear the dog. or a neighbor that's not responding to you, and you are trying your best to talk to the neighbor and they're not being very approachable, I'm just wanting to let you know that I'm going through this, and please, could y'all please help me? It's a whole lot more detail, and I have the ordinance here that says I need to be comfortable and safe, or at least feel, it says it right here, that I need to be having a reasonable use and enjoyment of my premises. I can't even go to my mailbox. I can't live happily. So I just want somebody to please help me. Thank y'all for seeing me and hearing me.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Has the dog gotten out of the fence?
Not that dog, but the Chihuahua has, and ran after me.
Mm-hmm. When the dog did that, did you call the police department?
No, ma'am. I ran in my house because I don't want to cause any friction. That's why I have been calling the non-emergency number and talking to the police and asking them what should I do, and they said talk to my neighbor.
So the Rottweiler, as I understand it, is not the one chasing you?
Thank God, no. He is a very large animal, about 100 pounds. If he chased me, I don't know if I would be here. I'm very nervous.
What kind is chasing you?
Has chased me. The Chihuahua dog did chase me.
Okay.
He is not there now. There's been several different pets at that location.
But the Rottweiler, what he does, he just bark at you when you come close to the fence, or when you come outside.
Yeah, every time I come home or do anything outside, the dog is barking at me in a vicious manner, because that's what she said, just barking. It's not just barking, and it is a nuisance at this point.
How tall is the fence? 6 feet?
It may be about, not 6, maybe about 4 feet, 3 feet.
3.5 feet?
Yes. And he's standing up on the fence, barking at me, jumping.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm sure that this will be passed on to the appropriate people. Okay. The next item is the...
Wait a minute. We have another public
I'm
comment
sorry,
member. We
know.
have Miss Debbie Avery with the chamber.
Oh, okay. Good.
Told me to keep you straight.
You need to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, I just wanted to make you aware of a decision that the Chamber Board recently made. For the last 2 years, we have been sending out the brochures about the community of Winterville to the 9 North Carolina Welcome Centers in North Carolina. It was decided in July that we would no longer be doing that due to budget cuts. We needed to update the brochure and update some of the pictures in it, and just because of cost, we're no longer sending those brochures to the welcome centers. But we did want to offer 2 possibilities, that if you were interested in that continuing, we have our letter from the Department of Commerce that gives us permission to send out these brochures, and we would be glad to grant permission to the Town Council if they're interested in sending out the brochures. Or also that the Chamber would be glad to actually do the manual process of sending them out if the town could cover the cost of printing more brochures and the cost of postage. You have a letter there that explains that, and a copy of the brochure that I'm talking about. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Okay. Now,
You ready to move on, Mayor?
I can even see this from the consent agenda.
Very good.
Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda? If not, do I hear a motion we approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. What's the next one?
The next item is old business. We have one item, and that is a continued discussion of our economic development strategic plan. Tonight we have with us Mary Lilly with Greenfield Development. Miss Lilly is from Williamston.
Yes.
So not too far. However, the weather was awful. We've asked Miss Lilly to be here. Also, Brenda Daniels with Electricities was initially supposed to be with us, and her schedule became such that she could not attend. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on where staff has been since we had our special call meeting and discussed some economic development issues. We talked about, if you'll recall, the leakage report. Electricities went back and ran that report on the 28590 postal area. So it's a larger area, obviously, than the corporate limits of Winterville. Electricities came to Winterville, had a meeting with me. We sat down and we went over that report. You all have a copy. Since then, I've asked them to go back and run that same report for the corporate limits of Winterville, and they've also run it from the corporate limits in a 5, 10, and a 15-minute drive time. So I will get copies of that out to you. But what that report does is it shows the types of businesses that are available in the area, what the sales potential is. Mary, interject if I get anything wrong. What the sales potential might be in that particular industry, they call it, how much money has been spent in that particular industry, and then the surplus or loss that we've experienced as a result. So we have that. We're looking at it and talking with Brenda and Jennings Gray, who is the commercial retail person with Electricities. Their suggestion is for the council to appoint a task force of approximately 5 people that can kind of drill down into the subject of economic development, work with someone on developing a strategic plan, and then try to see this process moving forward. It's difficult, I think, and Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, to have an elected board spend the time that's probably necessary to put together a strategic plan. Mary and her company work with Electricities. They, I think, offer services in the full gamut of economic development. And I've asked Mary to kind of be here and go over what's involved in a strategic plan, and then obviously the other areas that you might offer services for us. I think Mary likes an open discussion, so if you have questions, please feel free. And she understands that we're really just getting started in this area.
Thank you for having me. I am Mary Lilly. I'm a lifelong resident of Williamston and Martin County. So I understand small town development. I understand rural development, which I'm not sure all of Winterville now fits in the rural definition. Greenfield is the company I started in about 14 years ago. I was the local economic developer for Martin County for 17 years. I also ran the Chamber of Commerce and the license plate agency. So we were a full service kind of area, and we, trust me, between the Chamber and the license plate agency, we knew everything that was going on in the county. My business partner is Robin Spinks. Her office is in Wrightsville Beach. Between the two of us, we have, well, both of us have been in economic development now for over 30 years. So we are contractors to Electricities to provide economic and community development services to their constituents. What we can do everything from looking at a community to figure out what target groups of businesses you might like to try and recruit because you have the assets to recruit them. We do a lot of work on certified industrial sites or certified industrial parks. Our greatest work for Electricities is they're very good at advertising. They go to a lot of trade shows. They put a lot of ads in magazines. Whenever they get a response from a trade show or a magazine where they need follow-up with that client directly, that's what they give them to Robin and me. So over the years, we have averaged about 250 companies a year that we're in contact for the communities in Electricities members. We have, I've been asked to talk a little bit about strategic plans, and I wasn't sure of the starting point, so I don't have prepared remarks. Strategic plans can be done in a myriad of ways. It really is up to the council how you want to approach them. The main things that you are going to need to talk about, though, in this process are your assets and your vision. You need to make sure you have a good accounting of your assets. And by assets in the economic development world, we're not just talking about water and sewer and natural gas. We are talking about sites and buildings that are available. You can't sell if you don't have anything on the shelf. So we do a lot of work in product development for economic development needs. We are also talking about workforce, livability, programs, training being a big one, and of course we know that you have a great community college and a really great university at your back door. We suggest you look at your relationships with your economic development allies. Electric Cities is one. The Eastern Region is another. Both the county would be one. Department of Commerce has a regional office. We know Wanda Uhas, Donna Phillips, these individuals, we work with them all the time. You have assets that you might not recognize you have. You need to look at what you have, and that's where someone like my business partner Robin and I would come in and maybe see things a little differently than you do. You also will want to think about the vision of where you want to be or what you want to be. But the vision also needs to somehow be within the framework of your assets. Let me give you an example. You can be a community that wants a big commercial bakery, but if you don't have natural gas and you can't get natural gas, you're not going to ever get that bakery. So you need to look at what your assets are and what those assets can attract. What type of business needs to be in an area that offers what you have. But you can also look at where you can grow your assets. Terry and I spent some time talking about, in terms of infrastructure, I believe, and this is personal, it works well with communities, especially smaller communities. Look at their corridors of growth. This is not the same as zoning, but this is areas where you know you need to extend your infrastructure so that you don't have to come back and keep adding, or you put big infrastructure out, water and sewer lines out to a school. Well, you need to be thinking in terms of also going, what else are we going to put there? Do we want these water lines to serve the school and residential, or do we want to put schools and commercial? Do we want to make sure that we size lines appropriate for growth? You all, if traffic and buildings are, a sign of growth, certainly I think Winterville has been successful. Is it the growth you want? And is it where the growth going where you want it to go? Another example. If you have a school, and you've put water and sewer out there, you need to make sure you buffer between the school and any industrial or commercial area, just because that makes good sense. And you need to be and you as the leaders of the community need to be looking at your assets, looking where you're growing, and saying, yes, this works, or maybe we need to think about that. You're already doing that on a case-by-case basis. What strategic planning allows you to do is kind of evolve into what you want to be. There are a lot of ways you can do strategic planning. A task force is a great start. But you or the task force will have to say, do you just want someone like us to come in and look at the community and make suggestions and work with it within the task force? Do you want to open up for public meetings? Do you want to us to interview certain individuals within the community to get input, private input, where they may say something to us, but it is kept confidential, and then, you know, we can reflect their thoughts, but not the name. So sometimes that is very helpful. You can have something called a charrette process, where you bring in, let's say you have an area that you want to reconfigure, an area of blight, perhaps, within the city limits, that you want to have a new look. Or maybe you want to do some design work on the downtown commercial district. Maybe you want to make a green space somewhere and you just can't figure it out. You can do something called a charrette, where you bring in the community, but you also have professionals there. You have architects, you have engineers, you have traffic people from DOT, and you talk together with the community and you figure out what you want, and then they come back in a few months or weeks. It's going to be months, it's never weeks. and they present to you what you might look like. We need to move this street. We need to make this street one way to accomplish what you want. You need some professionals there. We are professionals in economic development, but we are not traffic professionals. We are not landscape architects. We cannot tell you that a tree will live here, because if I'm anywhere near it, it will probably die. So you need to have the professionals there. It is really we can make the process what you want. And I'm not sure, but I believe that Brenda is supportive of this. She wouldn't have asked us to come. And she, that we can help you after you put your task force together, at least get you started. I don't know what the arrangement is or if there's an arrangement, but I can be a resource to Terry or the task force chair to help set things up and get things going. It's great to have a lot of people involved, as long as everyone understands that every suggestion may not make it into the plan.
Sounds good.
Mary, can you just reiterate quickly this whole process in getting where we want to be? It's not a quick one.
No. You should expect at least 6 to 8 months to do a really great job. Now, if you wanted someone like us to come in and do, I'll call it, please don't put this in the press, down and dirty look at the community, what your assets are, and not that phrase. You can put the comment, but not the phrase. Down and dirty look at what you have, what you don't have, what you need, what your competitors have that you might want to think about getting, what you can afford versus, the grandiose dream. We can do that. We can make recommendations on where you need a business park, or if you want to build a shell building or something, how to do it, or if you need to partner with someone to create a business center. It's endless. It's a smorgasbord. It's a menu. You get to choose. But it will take time to work through this process and get input and put the information together and then give you something that's usable. And usually we suggest give it to you in bullet form, because if you're getting it in bullet form, you can pull out your page if you're the chairman of, I don't know, worrying about quarters, growth quarters. You can pull your page out and you can pin it up and you can say, we're going to do work on this and this and this year, and next year we're going to work on this and this and this. We can give people big reports. We do it all the time. But the people who actually accomplish the most are usually the people that get 5 pages, and it gives them 4 or 5 really good ideas. The other thing that we like to do is we try and do it within the framework of the financial opportunities that the communities have. It's great to say you want to put, widen a street or do this or that, but the resources have to be there, and that's where we think we're very good. we try and tell you how to phase things in and all of that. That's my spiel. Are there any questions?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
When you say choose a committee, what kind of people are you looking for? What kind of a background would we need to look for?
Forward thinkers. People, it's always good to have, I think, a mix of people that grew up here versus people that have come in. I don't think you need to get the task force too large because you do want to be able to meet. And I think 5 to 7 people is usually very workable. It will be the responsibility of the people doing the work to get out and do the small group connection. Business owners are always good. If you have a large population of retirees, that's good. I think it's very good to have high school students or people that of my daughter's generation, because they're the ones we're going to hand everything off to. I think they have to be a part of it. People you trust to have the best interest of the community.
Developers?
You certainly. Allies. I mean, if you have a company, certainly I think in this respect, probably someone from Pitt Community College, because I realize now that they're now in your corporate limits, and they're probably I'm not saying, are they your largest employer within the city limits?
I would say so. I'm looking at Allen. I think that's a true statement.
I think it would either be them or the public school system.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So, I mean, I think that there needs to be diversity. There needs to be business owners and big business and small business. We can't leave anyone out in some respect, and you can have advisory groups to the task force. A lot of people like to work that way, and then everybody sometimes just one issue and work on. If you have 3 or 4 committees with your task force members in charge of an area, then you can have small groups helping with that task force with that idea.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
So on that item, where we go from here is up to you all.
This first person I think of is, of course, Debbie. That's my first person. Ask her. My second person is ask someone on the town's administrative staff. Doesn't have to be the town manager. It could be one of her staff members. And then find 5 more. Those 2 are easy.
I know Terry and I have discussed this some, and we came up with a couple of names, and
I don't know if you all are ready to do that tonight, or whether you want to think about it and all come back collectively.
Okay.
I heard Collis Moore's name mentioned, and Terry nor I could think to save our life of the city exec for Southern Bank. Anybody got that name on the tip of the tongue? We both know him, but we can't think of his name.
Thanks, Mayor.
He
actually died.
Who?
The top one died with Southern Bank.
No, this is the one here in Greenville. He
was here locally.
Just can't think of it.
Okay.
Well, I know we're not going to make a decision tonight, but just throwing names out. And we have a resource of Ms. Avery with our chamber that certainly is familiar with our town, its merchants. That would be a valuable asset, I think, to a committee like that.
Well, definitely, I think she should be on this task. We call it a task force, I think. And
oh, she's here. I'm sorry.
I think she was prepared for that.
Yeah, and I think we need to maybe come back at the next meeting or at some point with some names, or if you have some.
Yes, I appreciate that. I appreciate what you just got through saying, because this is my first time hearing about this committee, and they seem like to me some of the board members has been familiar with it, and they have some names already in place. So I like to give opportunity to think about and ask some people myself and see where they have an interest of being part of it.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to respond to that. On the agenda abstract, it's mentioned, and I mean, there've been no detailed discussions about the task force itself. Ms. Lilly?
Mr. Moy, I was not able to give you a card. I would suggest, as you all are thinking about this, if you have questions, please just pick up the phone and call me. I left a card here for you. So.
Thank you.
Okay. All righty.
Mayor, the next item is new business, and I believe Ms. Smith is going to lead us through the process of designating a voting delegate and alternate voting delegate for the 2012 Annual North Carolina League of Municipalities Business Meeting. That's a mouthful. That conference is coming up October 21st through the 23rd. Ms. Jasmine.
Yes, the conference is October 21st to 23rd, and town staff recommends that you appoint a delegate and alternate delegate for the business meeting.
Since all the votes are always unanimous, you know who it goes. It's like, I don't take away from Middies Commission. I've been on Middies Commission. I've never seen anyone to vote against any motion. The business meeting lasts 15 minutes. You have a dinner, you have a meal, 15 minutes, everything's unanimous. Nobody ever questions anything. And you go home. Just a thought. It's not negative. Anybody can do it.
Are we nominating a member, a voting member, and an alternate here tonight? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
And is everybody on this board going to that conference? Do they have to be present to that conference?
Yes, only those that are going.
I believe everyone but the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem.
And the business meetings at what time?
It's
Sunday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Tuesday morning, because it's
Tuesday.
only half day on
I think it's
Tuesday.
8:30.
8:30 or 9.
I would nominate Ms. Robinson and Mr. Moore.
As
I would nominate Ms. Robinson as the voting member and Mr. Moore as the alternate.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, do I hear a motion that we accept these two nominees?
I make a motion. Ms. Robinson and Mr. Moore as the delegate.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Did we get a second?
Didn't get a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Didn't get a second.
Need a second.
I can't second my own.
That's
motion
right.
again.
Got a nomination.
Mark, second.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just a comment. I didn't mean to take away, but, you know, it might be the time later on to appoint someone else to Mideast. I've enjoyed it. I like the people I go meet. I do learn from the members there. And it might give other members of the council at some point in time a chance to meet the other people. I learn more from the other individuals.
I believe that item will be up for discussion at next month's meeting. Jasmine?
yes.
Okay.
I do learn from that. the other people.
Thank you.
But this new person is impressive. He's turned things around. He's very open, energetic, organized. He's going to get things done. And the next year, I'm going to be amazed what he does if you're a member of it.
Mayor? You have other agenda items?
Are they?
Are there any?
I don't believe so.
Items for future work sessions or agendas? Now we have the report from town attorney, town manager, and department heads.
Okay. Before we get into that, I had several real good comments about our meeting last month. I guess everybody knows now that it's being filmed. You can pull it up on the cameras in here somewhere. Oh, there's all over everywhere. And people that saw it on the, I guess their computers, it was very favorable comments. They had one thing that they asked me about. They says when we call for department heads to give a report, we've been doing it that way, I know, for 15 years. They couldn't hear them because they sit back there. So
Except Evan. Everyone can hear Evan.
that's true.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
You're right. But anyhow, Ms. Parker and I discussed it. When we call for reports or comments or whatever from department heads, unless you have something to comment on, just don't come up. But if you do have something, come up to the microphone because they would like to be heard. So I see he's not a stranger sitting back over there because he looks right at home, sitting right there.
Well, I encouraged Mr. Harwell to just come sit where he normally sits, but I invited him to be with us this evening.
And we're not even going to charge him.
We're not going to charge him, that's correct.
That's right.
But I did ask him to come tonight to update the council on a project he is continuing to work on, so.
Before we get into the reports from the attorney and so forth, we'll start over there as we normally do. Chief, you don't have anything, Mr.
You're just going to ask.
Yeah, if you have something to report, please come forward and up to the microphone. And I believe Mr. Harwell has something.
Quite a bit, actually.
It is good to see him back.
It is good.
It is good.
He's always smiling. I'm not saying others don't smile, but he's always smiling.
And he's also going to need help getting all his stuff up to the front.
I mean, look at that. We might be here until in the morning.
Tom, we don't want to be here till the morning.
I'm always concerned when Tom comes and he's got
oh, no.
He's got 2 packs of paper in his arms.
Thank you. Just to give you a report, what's being passed out there by the assistant engineer, by the way, who's been a great help to me for a very long time. Thank you, sir. This is the plans that we will submit on the morrow to the state of North Carolina again and again to the Corps of Engineers. As you might know, the first part of August we submitted to the Corps of Engineers. They accepted theirs and did not reject it, by the way, and asked for more information. The state sent our letter back, but kept all the copies of the things that we had sent to them because they did not want to expend the postage on this. What we have done here is this is a submittal to Tile, that is an eastern North Carolina name, by the way, 602 feet of the Noble Canal. I've now been working on the Noble Canal, from its inception to Swift Creek for 27 3/4 years. 27 3/4 years, ever since I've been here. We have tiled a great portion of it over the years. We still have some open areas that are necessary. This is a project that will lead from Mill Street, 602 feet, down to the right-of-way for Grimes Street. It will pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses. It will goes through the field for the church. It will go by 2 of the structures for Good Hope Baptist Church. We have the history on this a little bit, and you know it as well as I do. We have requested that the riparian buffers be removed. That was rejected. What we're doing now is submitting a request for tiling.
I have introduced Terry to a banking system, by the way. And when I first heard about it was after our submittal. We had a conference with 9 people down in Little Washington, all the powers that be. Mr. Hodge, Al Hodge, has now retired, by the way, so we're going to have a different set of characters moving forward, as we always do. As you well know, the church is structurally, the brick is settling. There's no doubt about it. We see the cracks in it. There's been some erosion on the stream. Back history on that stream, I found evidence that that stream used to run straight or meander and not have the 2 90-degree turns in it that it has now. That is fortunate. When we get to the banking system, this is banking credits. There is a law in North Carolina, which is fairly recent, that private people can develop, I'm going to use the word artificial swamps. No other way to express it. Artificial wetlands and artificial riparian buffers and artificial stream beds. And in the CU sections and we're in the middle noose section that they have to be in. There happen to be 2 in our section, only 1 that has riparian buffer credits. Our credits for this project, unless we can get them diffused, that's a high-class word that I'm not sure what I mean. Canceled is another word for that. Our credits that we would have to pay to do this project is $344,885.80. First, we have to, under the law, buy any available credits from these artificial. The law doesn't call them artificial. That's my name for it, by the way. Artificial precautions, that's probably a better way of expressing it. And give them an opportunity. Terry has signed appropriate letters out to these 2 companies that do this. We've received a response from one of them. The other one really didn't do it, by the way. And we also have a draft. And what I had to do on this, that has to be all included. Here is a package that will be going maybe to the state right here. Here's a package that will be going to the federals right here. 6 copies each, by the way, and copies of the plans. We will submit it. It's going to be an uphill situation, not with the Corps. They were, I wouldn't say non-committal, but not distraught in any shape, form, or fashion. The state folks that we met with, one friend of mine that I've been working with for years on erosion control said, don't call me till it's over. Then get your erosion control permit. And he's correct. The others, through the wildlife folks, the Fish and Wildlife, the state conservation people are all involved in this, and it will be advertised and hearings and all that kind of thing. So I just want to give you a quick briefing on it, where we stand, what we're doing, and we will continue with this. Any questions?
Tom, looks like it would make good sense to straighten this stream out anyway for our flooding.
That is correct. Here's what's happening on that. It's going to be a hard road to go for tiling. They are encouraging us, and have for about the last 2 years. And when we went to the meeting, I was grilled intently on that. We can't exactly straighten the stream out. We've already done a design on this, by the way. We have to follow the existing meanders. That stream, as it takes these 290 turns, does some weaving and wobbling like that, called in hydrology, meandering. All rivers do that. We've already impressed that meander over the shortcut through the church's land to see what it would look like.
But we went from Railroad Street to Mill Street to put that in, out straight. So it just makes sense, rather than go behind these people's houses, just straighten it up some more.
That is correct. We're encouraged to do this project in that manner. Y'all, meaning the board, has informed us to proceed with the tiling. So that's what we're proceeding. I did a cheery eye and saluted the Navy way, and that's the way we're proceeding as we speak.
We cannot straighten it currently without the purchase of some land.
That is correct.
Purchase land?
I'm sorry?
Who from?
I believe it would involve the church.
Gateway.
And it'll be tiled under their property, is that correct?
No, it would be an open ditch through their property. We would either buy or get easements. We have easements for them for a good hunk of that property right now. But when we do this, we would have to have enough property to have 50 feet on either side for repair and buffer through there, plus the ditch width. And the ditch width, as we go through there, as we have discussed with both the Corps and the state, would be varying and meandering.
And it would take quite a bit of property.
It would take about 4 acres.
So it's not to say that it's impossible, it's just a much more massive project than just straighten it out on a little piece of land.
Very simple compared to
if we did that, I have been informed that there would be no mediation payment required for the buffer. We would furnish them additional buffers as we went through on that. We would do that. So the mitigation would go away. That would lessen the cost of the project that way. And the total project, when we got through with it, would probably be about the same.
We would just spend more money in land acquisition and actually the project itself.
Yes, ma'am.
But in order for us to continue the way we are going right now, how much do you say one more time it will cost the town for us to take the next step? Is there a cost?
I have been told that the fee for making this application, one group has told me it's $200, the other has told me it's $270. Terry and I have talked about that. When I take these down there, I'm going to say how much money you want. But it won't, the filing fee will not be over $300.
Okay. Now, how much have we spent thus far? Is there a figure yet?
In excess of $50,000.
That's $50,000.
In excess of $50,000.
Already, yes, sir. And what this includes is not only our fees, but also a fee for a total basin study that happens to be included in this report, which was done by another engineering firm, which did about 7 different models of how it could be done.
I believe Mr. Stroud did that.
Mr. Stroud did that. Stroud Engineering did that. Then there was Terracon did 2 studies for us, one on the church and one on the erosion of the stream. So all of that, and then our fees, the whole thing.
Right.
The Stroud fee was pretty heavy.
What it probably does not include is an accurate pictorial of staff time on the project. It includes engineering, attorneys, fees, etc.
So once we submit this application, the paperwork that you have right now, or that you're going to submit, we should know exactly, this board should know whether or not if we want to further this any further.
Well,
the final cost should be able to be presented back to us.
This will give you a yes or no on tiling the portion of the canal as it currently exists, as we've discussed.
With a cost factor.
Yes, I've already done a cost analysis, but what this does is there'll be some negotiation on this mitigation fee that we would have to pay. We do not have to pay that until the permit is issued and we decide to do the project. We have a period in there, I believe it's 6 weeks after they issue the permit for us to pay them the mitigation fees, whatever they determined at that time to be. Now, what I have done in calculating the mitigation fees is you use their formulas, but use the one on the high end in lieu of a negotiable end. And to a good portion of that, when we really get into the fee, it's going to be negotiable.
And this fee goes to who?
It goes to the state of North Carolina in their mitigation fund for building more artificial precautions.
So basically, you're not dealing on the federal level anymore. Now we're dealing with the state
fee
level.
is on a state level. The feds, the federal level, the last I was informed, does not have a fee yet. They did not even have a fee for the application.
We're still dealing with the Army Corps, which would be at the federal level.
That's the Army Corps. We deal with the Army Corps on the federal level. Why the Army has it is they've negotiated a contract with EPA. EPA is really in charge of it. The Corps is their field office.
But I still think, Councilman Moy, we are looking in the neighborhood of $750,000 to $1 million+ dollars.
Yes, ma'am. That total, if we have to pay the total mitigation for us, plus the cost of doing this, is about $1,560 per linear foot of canal.
Have we requested a waiver? I mean,
I
know that.
I have a request in this application for a waiver of the mitigation fees.
Bless you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Glad to be with you all tonight.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Any other staff member with a report? I knew that was coming.
He couldn't help it. He has just returned from his honeymoon, so he is full of energy and ready to go.
Yep, just got back into, the country rather, Saturday. I just wanted to let everybody know that, and I've mentioned it before, and it's in the newsletter as well, that the second annual Winterville Trail of Terror that's put on by us and the ECU RCLS department, specifically Dr. Dilworth's class, her programming labs, will be October 19th. The gates are open from 6 to 10:30. That'll be at the Winterville Recreation Park. The starting point will be at the amphitheater area, and it will finish at the opposite end of the walking trail, as it did last year. We also have Ruritan Club Bingo Saturday night. That is in this month's newsletter as well. That is at 7 o'clock p.m. And for those of you guys who may not know where that is, directly across the street from A.G. Cox Middle School on Church Street, right at the intersection of Church and Sylvania. We also have begun advertising for letters to Santa, and planning has begun for the town council, tree lighting ceremony and town council mayor reception following, as well as the 2012 Christmas parade. That information is on the website, and if anybody has any questions or has any brought to them, please let me know. And I will stand by for questions at your discretion.
I can't let it go. I've got a question about that Christmas tree. Are we going to have those strands of lights that malfunction like they did last year on the countdown when all those kids' little faces dropped to the sidewalk when the lights didn't come on?
That is actually the electric department that handles that one.
No.
Which would be an issue regardless of the lights on a real tree or the string of lights.
I'm talking about a tree.
Oh, you want a real tree?
Not a live tree, no.
Oh, I like real.
But a tree.
I've been talking about a tree. Artificial one.
I've been talking about a tree since I've been on this board, and everybody says, yeah, you're just getting rid of me. Well, I'm not going to let you get rid of me. We want a tree out there.
I think this was mentioned at budget time.
It was talked about at budget time.
It was brought up that funds were not available for a real live tree.
Not a live tree.
At least that's my understanding of where we stand on that. We've had lots and lots of comments about those string of lights, and I know that. something did happen last year, as you said, that was the electric department.
Well, I
When
think
it-
it requires us to turn something off in order for that to come on,
Yeah.
and
It had something to do with the timers, I
yes. So it was just a little anticipation. There was a little build up to the lights coming
I'll
on. But
bring it
yes,
up.
we are. It's a work in progress, Council.
I'm going to bring it up
Ben
again.
Cooper, Evan, and I will see what we can do. I would like to say congratulations to Evan. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Same thing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Remember these two words. Yes, you.
I've heard that from a few people in different forms. Thank you.
The Trail of Terror was a lot of fun last year. My daughter informed me that I screamed like a little girl, so I would encourage everyone to come out there and do the same.
Anyone else? Okay. How about Miss Jasmine? Oh, I know you got some announcements to make. We'll make those later on. We'll move on down to Counselor.
Mayor, I have no report. Be glad to answer any questions anybody has of me. Thank you.
Mr. Moore.
I would like to comment on the Recreation Commission. If anybody wants to be entertained, free entertainment, go out to the ball fields at night, see the flag football and the baseball going on. It does sadden me that kids, once they get 12 years old, we have no programs after 12 years of age.
That's right.
You know, I think for a town of our size to not have anything for a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, just look at that down in the future. Just comment. But it's wonderful to go out there, but those kids do get older. And we need to do our best. We're looking at different things to spend money on in the future, but we need a gymnasium. Aden has a gymnasium, Farver has a gymnasium, Greenwood has a number. But we do not for our kids. Our kids deserve the same. That's all I have to say.
Ms. Robertson?
I do want to thank Jasmine. I think we had so many emails getting me registered for stuff at NCLM, and thank the town for allowing me to go, because I know it is a big expense, but I do feel like the experience is worth it.
Mr. Smith.
Nothing, Mayor. I don't have anything to say. I've said it all tonight.
I just have one thing. I think I have been asking about this for the last 2 or 3 meetings. We do have some property or some open lot behind the school that needs some attention to. I'm going to ask the code enforcer if he can be able to help me out, see can we get that lot clean. It has grown from my ankle to above my head now, way above.
Behind the school?
I will show you exactly where it's at. I'll be more than glad to. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Cooper has some of the same problem.
Yeah. Is it my turn?
Yeah. And also, I'd like to thank the chief again for that community outreach. It was excellent. You did an excellent job on keeping everything in order. Kept the people flowing. The vendors, they was great. Food was great, and the entertainment was super. And the giveaway, I saw about 4 or 5 bicycles that was given away. I mean, the kids didn't have to purchase anything. Only thing they had to do is place their name inside a little hat or something, a little token, and have the names pull out, and that was great. They was excited behind that. I think we need more of that. It brought some community gatherings in our community. Thank you so much for allowing that to happen. And to our town manager and to this board, especially to this board, because they had to start here and go down. Thank you. That's it.
I've been getting complaints on a regular basis to the point that I don't even go to breakfast anymore because I want to hear about it. Because I'm well aware of what the problem is. I was by there again yesterday. The grass down at Old Highway 11 and Emily Drive at Southridge, it's owned, I don't know who it's owned by, it's got Ron Harrell's real estate sign up there. It just so happens he goes to the same church that I do. I talked to him 2 Sundays ago about cutting that grass. He said he couldn't do it without the owner's permission to do it. I went by there again yesterday, and it's about waist high now. and the one down on Cooper Street across catty corner from the mayor's house is about the same. What is
4
our...
feet tall. It's 4 feet tall.
Every bit of it. Where do we go from here? Do we just let this go? What's our backup? What's our procedure here in this town to get these things done?
And say we cut the grass once a month. Right now we have it so we cut it twice a year, vacant lots. We could change it to once a month.
We got a problem with that.
We could change the ordinance.
Well,
I believe it's in excess, I would ask if it's all right for Alan
Please,
to come up.
please.
But I believe,
It's not supposed, after it exceeds 8 inches. And the lot you spoke of, the corner of Marshall and Cooper, Public Works has already been asked to cut because the owners failed to. It's just a matter of them being able to get to it.
But we only have so much manpower. We can't cut every vacant lot. But what is our procedure? What is the law in this town?
If they fail to, we send them a letter, give them 10 days from receipt to mow. If they don't, then we can mow and hold them accountable. If they don't pay the bill, we attach it as a lien to the property.
So there is an end to it. I mean, we do come to a final conclusion.
There's nothing to prevent that from reoccurring, and after it reoccurs a certain amount, they can be classified a habitual violator, and at that point, you don't have to send a letter, an enforcement letter. We can just go mow and charge them the cost.
Okay.
the unfortunate part, obviously, with anything of this nature is that you do have repeat offenders, and so we're going out there and we're cutting, and it's getting attached, but we may or may not see that money.
This has been the worst year for that sort of thing I've ever observed, and we just haven't been able to stay on top of it. I mean,
Well, I know our manpower is limited.
stack of files I've got on sending those enforcement letters are the number that the Public Works, look at the Planning Board report from month to month, and you'll see the number that our Public Works Department has had to cut, and those owners have been billed. If they failed to pay the bill, there's a lien on the property, and some of them may have multiple liens on their property from cutting, especially these vacant properties.
I don't think our, in all honesty, I don't think our price is steep enough. It's fairly cheap for Public Works to cut the grass based off what other places charge, so we just do need to take a look at making it
Just change the ordinance.
a lot more expensive than it is.
Have we done this year?
I can't tell you here, but I can easily get that information for you.
Just be interested to know.
I'd be happy to provide that.
And it should, the town manager's right. I guess we don't know exactly when we'll recover the money. Eventually the property will be sold for whatever reason, and when it's sold, our lien is there. We'll get repaid, but it could be years down the road before we get that money back.
There are an incredible number of abandoned properties in our jurisdiction right now. There's a home still there, but there's nobody in it. The homes are sitting there deteriorating away. The lawns aren't being taken care of, and it's amazing how many are out there in places you wouldn't expect them to occur.
I do think that's going to be a challenge that's probably far more difficult to address than the weeded lots. Obviously, that is an issue we have to take care of on a regular basis, but these dilapidating structures are going to get to the point we're going to have to do something, and they are in neighborhoods you don't, I mean, they're everywhere.
Well,
and that's right, and unfortunately, the enforcement procedure for those is vastly different. And as Alan mentioned, the statutes allow us, give us a vehicle where we can, we ask them to pay for it. If they don't pay for it, we can actually do it and ultimately recover the money. But unfortunately, there's notices required. We have to say, you're in violation. Please mow your yard, or we'll do it. I think the habitual is it's been a while. So is it 3 times in a year that we can automatically mow, and that we don't have to give the notice?
And what do we currently charge?
I don't.
I don't know what it is. I know
If it's okay with you, let me provide you with that as well. And the fee schedule is based off of our Public Works Department's best attempt to assess to determine the cost to perform these. And then if the town performs the maintenance, there's a $75 charge administrative fee that applies automatically. And then in addition, there are figures per hour for equipment and manpower. And there again, I'd be happy to provide copies of that information to the board if you'd like.
I think we should probably at least revisit that and take a look at it. Obviously, if we put a lien on somebody's property, then we got to pay the attorney.
Actually, I'm doing very little of that.
I think we have an in-house process where we can handle that.
Is doing
You're
that.
not, we put a lien on the property, you're not involved in that.
I think over the last year, I've looked at one or two where there was a question, but no, sir, I'm not drafting those.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's
taking
an
staff
interesting-
time to do it, and that's the administrative charge I think he's referring to.
Well, whatever we do, I'd like for us to have some teeth into it, that when we say something, we mean what we say. Also, here we are in October. Maybe we can contract this out and get this stuff done. One more cutting, I would think, would be through for the season, I would think, but we need to follow through on what we're doing. That's all I have. On that subject, I do have a couple other things.
We'll continue to increase and try to address these.
Thank you.
I'm going to add my 2 cents worth since it's my time.
He's not finished, man.
With that.
Oh, with that.
Well, I just have
All right, go right
I
ahead.
just have a couple of questions. I'm sorry. I won't take your time. Some time ago, I just wonder if we got any reply back. Was letters to be written to the dollar store about the facade of their building, also to the railroad company about the drainage at Southridge.
I have made contact with the railroad company requesting permission for us to clean that drainage tile. That is maybe not what everyone had in mind, but we're not asking them to do it. We're going to do it. I think we'll be moving forward with that. In terms of Dollar General, we haven't gotten very far with that, but we will continue that effort.
I would just like to ask the board to remember the 3 members of the National Guard from the Winterville unit that lost their lives in Afghanistan for this nation. I know they don't live in Winterville, but it's from the Winterville unit. That's all I have.
I was going to mention, Terry and I talked about this last week, and we ordered the flags at half-mast, and they are still there, as I understand it, until the funeral arrangements. And I talked yesterday to the, I forgot his title, he's with the National Guard, though, and all 3 of those soldiers are going to be buried in their respective towns that they are from. Wilmington, Maysville, and somewhere else, Greensboro, wherever. And but he was appreciative of the fact that we had done what we had done, and we also are. Terry has been in contact with the colonel.
Yes.
At the armory, and we are going to do some type of proclamation.
We have asked for their assistance in trying to do something to honor them as well, and are awaiting a response.
Good.
What I was going to mention, back on the grass thing, as most of you know, my boys and I, matter of fact, I don't do it anymore because they took my tractor away from me. I can't do it. But we've been in the grass cutting, I call it business, since 1983. And we do, I would say, 99% of it in Greenville. And I'm very familiar with Greenville's ordinance, and I think we could pattern our ordinance after Greenville's. If a lot is grown up above the minimum height, whatever it is, and I forgot exactly the inches, but a registered letter is sent. They are given 5 days, just 5 days to correct it. And if the inspector goes by and if it's not mowed within 5 days, there are contractors out. That's how we did ours. That's how we do it now. That mows for the city of Greenville. My sons are doing it now. I don't do it anymore. We've got one particular lot in Greenville. I won't tell where it's at, but I guarantee you it's in one of the roughest sections of town. If it gets 12 inches tall, the owners get a letter, and we have to mow it. My son mows it right quick, because if he does not mow it, the city has a contractor that's employed that goes out and mows it. And where we charge on that particular lot about $60 to mow it, the city of Greenville charges $250. And it's put, a lien is put for the $250 on that property right then. And like you say now, one day, if it's sold, they will collect. But, and I think that's something that we need to look at. Our town staff are pushed to do the mowing. We need to have somebody that can, I'm not saying that we ought to do it, but somebody privately ought to be able to do it and do it on a regular basis.
We'll work on that.
You are next, madam.
Well, I'm going to wrap up quickly. I wanted to give everyone here an update. Mr. Willie Gay, our interim public works director, had to leave as we've had some pretty severe flash flooding throughout town and even have some vehicles that have been flooded. So we've tried to put up signs and notify everyone where those worst areas are. I'm not exactly sure of where they all are. Obviously, many locations. It looks like the worst of the weather hopefully is through, but I would encourage everyone to be careful going home because we do have some areas that are, the water's receding, but it's certainly not going as quickly as we had hoped. So they're out there working, the crews are in the field, and just encourage everyone to be safe.
I'm sure some of that flooding is Southridge.
I'm sure, and a lot of other places.
I have not mentioned, but I'd like to welcome our county commissioner. Okay, who's?
Also, Main Street is now paved.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, it rides good.
Rides real good.
It sure does. Okay, the announcements, who's going to, is Miss Jasmine going to make those?
Would you like to, Miss Jasmine?
The NCLM conference is October 21st through the 23rd at the Charlotte Convention Center. And there are 5 locations for one-stop voting, and there's one at the community room. Veterans Day is November 12th, and we will be closed. And the November regular meeting will be on Tuesday, the 13th at 7 in November.
We'll have our Veterans Day, I think, again at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
That day.
On Monday.
So I think it's 2 o'clock each year. I've contacted the gentleman here who's in charge of the Veterans Affairs to supply us with a speaker. And if you have a special speaker, bring him forward, and I'll be glad to put him on the agenda. Of course, Mayor, you'll do our normal.
So town offices are closed on the 12th?
Yes, Monday.
Because Veterans Day is actually Sunday the 11th. That's right.
Our Veterans Day would be on that day.
On Sunday?
Well, what do you think?
Well, I wasn't sure. I was asking. I was trying to be clear.
The state is observing it on Monday.
On Monday?
That's what we
We're
adopted.
doing it on Monday. The state does.
Any other
Like at 2 o'clock, we do it that time.
And what's the date? You said our next meeting will be November the
13th.
That's right.
If there's no other business, do I hear a motion we adjourn? We have a motion and a second to adjourn, but I believe it is Mr. Moore's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Social Security Day.
Maybe he ought to sing.
March 1st.
And my birthday's Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, is it Thursday? Okay.
Waffle Day.
My wife.
Your wife? You better remember that.
We are adjourned.